Today, we have two extremely eminent and prestigious guests with us to shed light on what exactly is India's gaming opportunity, what are the potential areas for investment, both in entrepreneurs' time as well as in funds capital, and what are the levers through which we can look at India as one of the biggest global gaming opportunities that's around. Towards the end of it, we will also be inaugurating the India Gaming Report, which Winzo has published. With that, I would like to call upon our prestigious guests, Zwani Kola and Mr. Rajesh Raju. Both of them are managing directors at Kalari Capital. I would like to welcome them with a big round of applause, please. Kalari Capital has been the first check for Winzo. It's been a terrific journey for the last 6 years. And I can't be more delighted to have Vani and Rajesh join us today to share their pearls of wisdom in this room full of gaming enthusiasts, entrepreneurs, and aficionados. So the format of this discussion is going to be essentially a fireside chat. We would like to, keep it candid.
You get to ask us tough questions, right? And put us on the hot seat.
How are you feeling, Vani, Rajesh, being at the IGDC? Vani, it's been your, how many IGDCs have you been so far?
I think this is my 5th or 6th IGDC.
Wow. Has anybody been to more IGDCs than that in this room?
Wow, now I feel old.
There's a reason why you're on this seat, Vani. Rajesh.
Great to be here. My second time here, actually. Sorry, I mean, we have some great gaming companies, but for some reason or the other, there's been some conflict, but phenomenal conference.
Great. So I'll straight away dive in. I'm not sure how much time do we have, but, being efficient. Okay, perfect. So, Vani, my first question is going to be directly to you. Since you've been, to 5 IGDCs now, what do you think has been evolving? What do you think has been changing? Where do you see the current gaming landscape here in India from a Kalari standpoint? And overall, what are the kind of headwinds, tailwinds that you feel today the sector is experiencing?
See, first of all, when I moved to India a long time ago in 2006, I've been looking at gaming sector from then, right? With only one premise that there is an inflection point for gaming. Of course, no one can predict inflection point. I don't have a crystal ball. But compared to so many countries globally, that we have much more potential for gaming, for India and for the world, starting from here as the origin, right? And that core belief has not changed in the last decade for me. What has changed is the actualization of that in the last 4 or 5 years and what that portends for the next decade to come, right? Lot of things, for any inflection point for any sector, lot of things need to fall in place. First and foremost, an ecosystem has to fall in place for that to become a reality. And what this conference shows you is how vibrant today that ecosystem is. I've seen the evolution over the last decade. And you can measure that by number of founders who are aspiring to build gaming companies. You can measure that by the companies like Winzo that have achieved tremendous scale and success. So there is a ecosystem and different business models that have evolved. So the aspiration and reality of building great gaming companies from India, that inflection is here. That's my conviction. We can dwell deeper into what are some of the emerging opportunities, so on and so forth. And I think overall, we have probably invested in close to 8 to 10 companies over the last few years. And we plan to continue to be an active investor in the gaming sector, not just because we like the sector, but we really believe that this is a critical inflection point, much like it was for SaaS in 2012, like it was for e-commerce in 2010, and so on and so forth. I think the gaming time is here and now.
Okay. Thank you, Vani. Rajesh, my question to you is, I mean, of course, we know Google, Facebook, big tech originated out of the West, Silicon Valley. Today, we know, and we are very confident that India has no dearth of tech talent. But at least when we talk about gaming, we still see most of the companies have not really gone ahead and crossed the border. I mean, talking about Vinzo, we recently launched Brazil a week back, and we are 6 years into the journey. What do you think is, what should be the ideal way to look at scaling when it comes to geography? Should gaming entrepreneurs, and I'm very specifically talking about gaming because it essentially needs no boundaries. I mean, games can get published, all over the world at one go. What do you think? How should gaming entrepreneurs really look at which space or which geography should they really make products for?
Thanks, Pawan. It's really odd to sit next to Vani because we don't ever get on the same stage. I think last time Vani and I were on the same stage was when we launched Kalari, I think.
That's true.
So it's odd for me. Second, I'm not too happy that you put an older picture of mine and a really younger picture of Vani. So, gaming is interesting, right? So whenever you talk about the number of things that have to come together, like Vani said, to create an ecosystem, there's so many elements that have to come together. That's why it's so hard to replicate Valley anywhere else, so hard to replicate Bangalore anywhere else. I know the city is trying and trying very hard, and hopefully they'll succeed. So that will happen, and you will see the inflection point, the explosion happening. But unlike most industries, I think gaming is going to be a massive market in India. One of the things, Vani and I have come from the software field. We thought when we moved from the US to India, we can fund a lot of true tech IP SaaS companies, right? It's still difficult because India is a shallow market. You have to go to the US or the Western markets to build large companies in that space. The advantage gaming has is we have a massive user base. And we are about $3 billion in revenue today. I'm sure we're going to be 30 billion, 100 billion soon, right? So you can actually prove your tech here, prove the scalability, all aspects one needs to take it global, which most industries don't have that luxury. You can try it here. You can make a world-class product, highly scalable, great user interface, great communities, and great interactive nature. Gaming is all about how well you can keep the user engaged. All that can be tested at a massive scale. Most industries don't have that luxury. So I think India is not only being a great domestic play, I think globally also will be highly successful because we can test on 1 billion people. Which country other than China can say that?
Absolutely. Talking about, just carrying that forward, Vani, we are a room full of entrepreneurs here, people who are quite excited about gaming ecosystem. If you have a crystal ball in your hand and you have to really look forward and see what are those areas, genres, models, business models, different facets where you think the next 4 or 5 years would be critical and great businesses can be built within gaming.
See, sometimes we don't think about fundamentals of economics. Let me explain. Every business at some point has to make money. And in India, in fact, we lead in terms of number of people doing some kind of gaming, right? Whether it's casual games that they are playing or whatever. But our ARPUs are dismal compared to global revenues that are generated, right? Now, part of it is because what is different about India? You just look at data usage, right? Until we got to the cheapest data, India today has 2 distinctions. Cheapest cost of data, highest use of data, right? They are not unrelated correlation, So you have to, and data today compared to a decade ago is 80% cheaper. That's a very different model of unit economics, right? So gaming monetization. Of course, we'll talk about RMG, and RMG has monetized and monetized very well. But other gaming genres have not monetized in India. You get the usage, but you're not monetizing. Now, perhaps we are following very similar models of monetization as other successful companies in other geographies. I think our innovation is, gameplay and monetization are very, very integrated, right? They have to be integrated from your design strategy to, game economics. They have to be integrated. That, I think, is important despite whatever genre. I don't know, is it play to earn? Is it nano payments? Is it, digital goods? Who knows, right? What is a Roblox coming out of India? So I don't know the answer, but one of you knows that answer, right? And for a massive unlock on the industry, we have to reach that gaming economics, which honestly beyond RMG, no other model has proven, partly because we have not innovated at the unit economics level. We may be innovating gaming. So that's one area where we are really interested to see what is it that will unlock the wallet, right? And it's not just independent of your game design. Second thing is, I think there is an emerging group of founders that are focused on deep technology platforms. We have built nothing like that out of India, right? Almost every gaming company uses whatever game engines, whatever studio software coming out of somewhere else, right? What do we need? Again, both economics driven, but also from India-specific origination, right? From platform technology, I think there is an opportunity there, right? Studios, we are, let me put it this way, less excited, not that we wouldn't be interested in investing. The reason is because most studio founders don't think about it from a scale. They may be a very successful studio, and that's something to be very proud of, but that being able to scale at a massive level is a whole different problem. So if we can understand and be excited about the ability to scale into a large studio, then we would be interested, but that's probably 1%, maybe lesser, than the studios that get created, right? Now, I know today esports goes through hot and cold, but I think long term, we are a community model society, right? So I think that there is a large opportunity in esports, which has its own, is it a guild-based model? Is it just a new licensing model? There are many models that will emerge specific to, Indian constraints, but those are also areas that we are quite interested. We think that the leaders in RMG has already been established. If anything, RMG will go through a consolidation, and in a market where there is consolidation play happening, we are probably, hopefully, in the leading companies, which we are. Obviously, we are a investor, excited investor, and committed investor into Winzo. So, but I think the leaders in RMG will consolidate the market. So we are unlikely to do more what we did with you, Pawan, seed investment. When I met Pawan and Soumya, I still remember for breakfast in Hyatt, it was a easy, so timing of markets also matter. Their depth of vision and clarity that they had for what they wanted to build. It was an easy answer for me to say yes to be a seed investor for them. But for RMG, we are unlikely to do that with anybody else today.
Got it. I still remember that breakfast, Vani. So we were only a 4-member team when we met Kalari. In fact, we got the first check from K-Start, the Kalari's incubator program back then. And it's been 6 years. And I mean, when Rajesh told us that, you guys are sharing the stage after really long, I think it's a true pleasure. And it's, we consider it like very, very, it's gradually.
Usually people invite him or me. They don't rarely invite the two of us to come together. So
it's just that like we have such a strong and special and long bond with both of you. We could take that liberty, and thanks a lot for providing the stage to us. Okay, the next question is we understood, thanks Vani for really showing direction in terms of the areas where one can invest. And the next question is probably for both of you, and I'm sure it must be happening with many other sectors as well. But we know that Kalari has, while, of course, have done phenomenally well in gaming, but even you have accelerated your gaming investments over the last 2 years, I would say, from a focus standpoint. There are, of course, dedicated gaming funds that have been now launched in India. Lumica is one of them. And then there are companies like Winzo. We've sort of earmarked $50 million to just invest in gaming companies now. There are many other players who are trying to do that. Do you feel that there is a lot of dry powder or too much capital chasing too few startups or too few ideas? What do you think could be done to really unlock the supply of great companies or investable companies here in India?
when we made the first investments in RMZ, sort of 2014 to 2017, let us say, that was emerging, right? You don't know when you're making emerging investments how big it's going to be, but most people don't want to make those investments because there is no guarantees to success, either for founders or to investors, right? So in gaming, while there is a lot of interest, I think some of that wants to chase the proven models, right? I think what needs to happen with your 50 million, it's not so much too few deals and too much capital. What that means is there aren't enough investors owning that capital who want to diversify their risk, right? That really is what it means. Whether it's Winzo's capital or our capital, what it needs to do is to be bold about risk to unlock unproven themes, unproven founders, and unproven business models, right? And it's not so much that there are too few deals. There are too few deals that are proven, right? But unless we seed enough ideas and enough new founders, right, you can't build that funnel of proven models. So more capital is coming in, but Lumica is a great fund. You mentioned them, and we have a couple of investments that we have co-led with them. I think what will happen with the gaming dedicated funds like Lumica or you, and though we are not a gaming dedicated fund, we are focused on the seed to early stage companies, right? Each of us will have to be willing to take that risk on models. It's not about funding the 20th RMZ company, but it's funding the first or the second or the fifth, if you will, emerging founders in that space, right? And that's where our capital can be best serviced for this industry. And if enough of us do that, which I think is happening now, then I think we can look at it 6 years from now, because there is a long tail to this. This is a patience, capital. I think 6 years from now, we can sit here and say, what are the themes that validated and proved themselves, right? So the funds that are coming in, a lot of them is coming into the growth, which is important also, because with no growth capital, what are you going to do, right? We need to unlock that. But equally then, we need to unlock the funnel going into the emerging ideas.
Got it. Rajesh, and Vani, please feel free to add on this one. But Rajesh, you've, of course, seen, Winzo grow, for really long, right from the early nascent days. And Kalari, per se, has invested in really successful companies at very, very early stages. What do you think are some of the, facets or identifiers of, early stage success, that founders should keep in mind? What are those top 2 or 3 things that you look out for in early stage companies that you feel could be a recipe of a great outcome?
Yeah, we try to create, believe it or not, some regression models on what kind of drives successful outcomes for us. It's impossible at the end of the day, right? It becomes highly subjective. Hindsight is 2020, so it's difficult to figure out. But one common theme among all our successful companies, at the end of the day, are great entrepreneurs, right? And of course, if you're a successful company, you can call them a great entrepreneur, right? But what defines whether they succeed or mediocre company they build or they fail, one common trait that remains is the passion and crazy drive to succeed and never give up. And I don't have to go far to showcase those attributes with you and Soumya, right? I think Windsor would have hit the bottom multiple times, and I had sleepless nights, so you can imagine what they went through over the last 5-6 years. It's never an easy journey. I don't remember a single company, including one of our most successful companies, Vani would know, Dream11. There were so many ups and downs. For outsiders, it seems like a rocket ship, right? But so many crazy issues you need to face along the way. And at the end of the day, I think it's up to the entrepreneurs, and hopefully you'll have supportive investors. And they are with you. We may not be able to do a lot, but we can be there, as just that for brainstorming and for you to be able to share whatever it's on your mind, and we are there to support you, help you if we can. So yeah, the traits remain the same after all these years. Just entrepreneurs make or break companies. It's not rocket science, right? And of course, the timing of the market is important. We have mistimed many markets, and we can have great people like you, and if we miss time, that means we are too early, right? We are never, like Vani pointed out already, we don't want to follow the herd. So we rather take a massive risk and bet early rather than just herd mentality is not what we should be doing as VCs, right? So that means we mistimed it, and we went too early into markets. That's where we make most mistakes. But it's tough to point out our failures at entrepreneurs. I think mostly we mistimed it. And most of the success, I think we need to attribute to entrepreneurs. So that's the way I would put it.
Thank you, Rajesh. Vani?
I think a lot of the same that Rajesh said, but if I double click into that, right? So let's take our first meeting, right, when you and I met with Soumya, of course. First is, at least I try to clear my mind. I'm going to hear this entrepreneur out. And be patient about listening. I don't know everything. Most of the time, if I have a vision on an idea more than the entrepreneur, and if I don't learn something from the entrepreneur, I don't invest. Because I can't be smarter than the entrepreneur. Sometimes the entrepreneur thinks that we know more. And if the VC knows more than you, I don't think you want to be in that board meeting on a continuous basis, because they're going to tell you how you should run your business. That's not to say that they don't bring some value in the board. I think we have seen enough of the same story that we can project that and be an important counsel and sounding board on many issues. But on the vision of your company and the strategy, core strategy of your company, if you are not more grounded and more have deeper conviction than your investor, that's a problem for you, but that's your problem. It's a problem for me, and I try to avoid that problem, right? So I want to see what do you know about whatever your business, your sector, your theme, that is a new insight on which you have ability to build a moat and hopefully build a large successful business, right? So that clarity of thought the power of that conviction, and what is that competitive insight that you have, right? Now, for example, in your case, you said, if you had come to me saying we'll do fantasy, right, which you didn't, right? You understood the market enough to say, look, I'm going to do casual. And I'm going to do that by putting a platform or a wrapper on other people's investment. So I create that leverage, right? Two very important insights that I saw them have from day one, right? I said, okay, that's not something I've seen other founders do, which means that they have some first mover advantage. Now, both of you didn't come from gaming background at all, right? And in fact, the last startup had, it all ultimately got settled in your favor, but it had enough dirt on it, so to speak, right? So, but that means that they had understood what can pull a startup down, which is a good thing, because you're not going to repeat that mistake. So, the deep conviction and clarity you had, right? And the, Rajesh was saying earlier, the vision and power to want to avoid the mistakes and build something bigger, the aspiration to go do that, right? And the ability to listen when others out of goodwill are giving you feedback. You don't have to follow the feedback if you don't believe in it, but at least you should have the listening ability, which sometimes is missing in founders, right? So those were some of the traits and characteristics which I think made you successful and is the baseline to any founder in any market, right? Now, our ability to recognize that or misanalyze that results in us either investing in the right company or the wrong company, or missing the right investment sometimes also, right? So that's the gut and the experience after we have studied the market and all of that we do. Primary research, we have a gaming report, not like theirs, which they're publishing, but just in the opportunity and so forth. But, so I think, Pavan, at the end of the day, life is simple. As they say, the path to nirvana, everybody knows, right? It's following that. So the path to successful investment for any investor is these things. There is one final element. There is no company that I've been part of in the last 3 decades, which is how long I played in the startup ecosystem in India or in US or India, to chronologically be right about it, where those companies have not run into near-death episode, if not once, many times, right? That never gets told in the fairy tale that gets written on the company, right? And wherever we have made money, I can tell you it has come by standing by those companies because we believed in them when they ran into a problem. So if you think about it for a second, all of us can have friends when things are great, in life or in business, okay? The problem is having friends, as in life, investors, as in business, when things go wrong, is what founders don't think about, right? After your valuation and this and that and all that you optimize for, the real thing you need to optimize for is, are they going to stand with me? Because problem is inevitable. You don't know which day that's going to come, but I can guarantee you nobody is going to build a large business without running into some problem or the other, right? Some of them may be small problems, some of them are catastrophic, but I have never made money on any company, or any company I've made money in, right, has almost always had experienced one or more near death, right? And we would not have made money if we didn't stand by that entrepreneur at that time, right? So every entrepreneur has to look for that first and foremost, which again founders don't sometimes, right? They optimize for today, but you have to optimize for the future, really, right? So those are some of the factors for us, what we look for.
Thank you, Vani, Rajesh. By the way, it's truly remarkable how you still remember the interactions we had 6 years back.
With all the founders.
Exactly, right? I'm sure you must be like so busy having many meetings in a day and you still remember each and every facet of our interaction that happened 6 years back. It's truly remarkable. And yes, near-death experiences Windsor has had a lot, but I can tell you, Kalari has been literally our best friend in each one of them, and has quite at times tried to pull us out as well to where we are today. On that note, thank you very much, Vani, Rajesh. Just one last question. What do you think is the right time or right stage for an entrepreneur to reach out to Kalari Capital for investments?
Early stage, we are a small fund in a manner of speaking. We're a 200 million fund. And we like to be from the beginning because we like to get to know people. I think, you know, while there may have been near death and maybe we stood by, but we weren't the one experiencing it, right? And I think Pawan and Soumya could have given up many, many times. We are very, very proud of them for what they've done and grateful as a fund for the opportunity and the privilege to have partnered with them. But we like to be seed, Series A, rarely, but sometimes we are willing to do Series B also. We recently did that with Ilo. But that's, you know, when we have watched the opportunity grow, we had said no to them in seed, but they proved us wrong. And we don't mind being proven wrong. And, you know, more power to the founder when, you know, they prove us that our thesis was wrong and they were right. So in those situations, if you have known the founder for a while, and they've demonstrated that, then, you know, we will do Series B. But generally, we do seed and Series A. What that means to us is $500,000 to a $5 million check. And then we continue to stay invested till your exit, whether that's an M&A or an IPO. So we stay invested for 7-10 years into a company. We are already been together for many years. And, you know, we like to be there in the company building phase, because that, I think, is where hopefully we can be most valuable and most effective for the founders.
Thank you. Thank you, Vani, Rajesh. You know, very, very grateful for having you here. And I would now request you guys to do the honor and please inaugurate our India Gaming Report. Soumya.
We didn't see you tucked away back there. Sorry, come.
Maybe you can hand over.
Awesome job on this. Okay.
This report, we are basically talking about how India has the right opportunity, a talent pool, which is one of the world's best in technology and creativity, to actually make products in India with excellence that can serve the rest of the world. And we are showcasing the India opportunity, how Indian companies have built for billions of people in this country. In fact, just to give you an example, Windsor alone is clocking 1 out of every 250 UPI transactions. And that requires a lot of tech at scale, fast computation, and of course, creative problem solving. We feel that all our peers actually can be companies that can be present globally. And this report is about the talent, the IP, the environment that actually is creating what we'll see as large global companies in the years to come. Thank you, Rajesh and Vani.
Fantastic, but how do they get the report?
We'll be soon publishing it across all our channels, so people will be able to avail the soft copies. And if somebody wants a hard copy, please feel free to reach out to us. We have a couple of them with us today as well.
Thank you. Thank you for the honor.
Thank you, Rajesh. We would also like to extend a token of gratitude